Welcome to Spenny and the Nets, episode 245. I am your host, Spen Harris, and I am joined by my co-host and brother by blood, Nick.
Bing bong,
That's not what we say on this show.
bing bong, schling schlong.
All right, Nick. Well, we had the All-Star weekend. It had its ups, it had its downs. Personally, the only thing I watched in its entirety was the skills competition. Did not watch the dunk contest. Did not watch the three-point contest. Didn't watch the Rising Stars game. Shout out to Jaeger Tillman who played in that game. And I only watched the last game in the All-Star uh, round robin tournament style matchup
Which was
between the
by far the worst game. The
yeah.
OGs had run out of steam, bro. And you and Dad, who were watching it together, were complaining that they weren't trying. The first three games were insane. They were epic. You had Anthony Edwards like drilling shots. You had De'Aaron Fox hitting a buzzer beater. You had Kawhi scoring 31 points in one game. Like, oh man, like I wish you watched those first three because I think KD talking shit at that press conference lit up a flame under everyone's ass.
Well, I'll tell you this, Nick. I had good reason to not watch the All-Star game, and that's because my boy Michael Porter Jr., who was more than deserving of an All-Star nod, got snubbed. And therefore, I did not want to watch it. And the only reason I turned it on was because there was nothing else to do at mom and dad's, and we had been listening to jazz music for like 2 hours straight. And I fell and spilled a bunch of wine everywhere because I'm a klutz, because I'm a stupid idiot who falls everywhere he goes. So I turned on the All-Star game, and unfortunately, it was the worst matchup.
Looking at the list, there are multiple players that I believe Michael Porter Jr. is better than.
Siakam,
I don't think he's better than anyone on the Stars. That would be sorry, then the Stripes. The Stripes was Kawhi, LeBron, KD, Brunson, Jaylen Brown, De'Aaron Fox, and Donovan Mitchell. I don't think he beats anyone on the Stripes. Looking at the Stars, I think you can make a case against Jalen Duren, but he's a big man. I think you can make a case against Jalen Johnson or Scotty Barnes, maybe even Chet Holmgren.
yeah, no, I agree with that. I just don't love that Siakam got in over him. I don't think Siakam. Look at Siakam's numbers right now. I don't think they're as good as MPJ's, and also the Pacers are just as bad as the Nets, if not worse. So that one bothered me.
Looking at the world, Wemby, no. Siakam, yes. Cat, no. Jamal, no. Denny Avdia, I'm going to say no because I loved him this year. Sengun, no. Norman Powell is another one that I could say yes. I could see Porter Jr. No one would raise a flag if Porter Jr. got in over Norman Powell.
Yeah, Norman Powell was one. So
But again, we're
regu-
looking at the world team,
right.
which was probably an easier roster to make if you think the
Right.
Americans have had better players.
Looking at Siakam's stats, Porter Jr. has more points per game, more rebounds per game. Porter Jr.'s at 7.2 rebounds per game to Siakam's like six something. And then their assist numbers are pretty much actually I think Porter Jr. has him beat. Let's see, assists 3.9 for Siakam, 3.2 for Porter. So Porter Jr. has Siakam beat at points and rebounds, and that's playing the three for Porter Jr. So he got snubbed.
I
I
agree.
did want to,
I
yeah,
agree.
I did want to ask you, Nick, just overall, did you watch the 3-point contest? Damian Lillard took that home. Did you watch the dunk contest? Uh, I don't want to get his name wrong. The guy on the Heat won the dunk contest. I think it's let's see, dunk contest 2000. People kept telling me, I'm like, who is that? I did not know. It was Kashad Johnson of the Miami Heat. It was Carter Bryant, Kashad Johnson, Jackson Hayes, and Jace Richardson. And from what I was told, people were not happy with it. People liked the 3-point shooting competition with Dame Lillard. And like I said, I did watch the skills competition. Unfortunately, the Knicks won that. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Allen Houston with Rick Brunson as the passer. But what did you think overall of the All-Star weekend?
Is Richardson related to Jason Richardson?
I believe that's a son.
That's pretty cool. I did not watch the skills of three-point, the dunk. I tuned in for all of the actual All-Star games, Stripes versus Stars, Stripes World, Stars World, and the championship. I thought though I can't speak for the others. I thought those games were awesome. It was the most effort I've seen in the last few years. And for those of you listening who weren't aware, KD went on record during a press conference and basically called out all the international players for making the All-Star game not fun by not trying and hucking threes and not getting back on defense, and specifically called out Jokic and Doncic, who you would argue are the best two international players. You can put Wemby in there actually, and Giannis too. Giannis was hurt, obviously. But and so is Doncic. By doing that, and so is Jokic. By doing that, I did think that stirred up a lot of competition and a lot of ego. And I do think these players went out and listen, were they banging each other down low? You know, there was a play where Siakam had a fast break and maybe someone could have caught him, and it's not worth it. You're not going to try to like block someone from behind on a fast break in the All-Star game. But people were contesting shots. They were playing hard defense. They were getting mad at missed calls. They were going crazy when big shots were hit. So I thoroughly enjoyed. And LeBron had like two putback dunks. He had two threes from the logo. I haven't seen Kawhi Leonard play that hard in anything in so long. So really fun to see, and I love that they had pride in winning those games. The OGs, which were the Stripes, which were the older players, Kawhi, LeBron, KD, they had it the first couple games, and they just ran out and got smoked by the Stars, which were the younger NBA American All Stars in the last game. But those first three out of four, truly some fun basketball.
Did you like the format?
I was confused at first. I honestly didn't understand what was going on. It was basically what, four 12-minute games, round robin style. Each of the three teams, Stars, Stripes, and Worlds, played each other once. Whoever had the most wins then played in the fourth game, which was the championship.
I would have listen. I get it. I missed out. Look, I saw the highlights, so I understood Kawhi going off. There was a few buzzer beaters in there. De'Aaron Fox hit a buzzer beater. Kawhi Leonard hit a buzzer beater. World, I think, lost both games they played in, correct?
Yes.
So I understand it was a little bit more exciting, especially all the games that I didn't watch. I'm a sucker for tradition, man. I don't know why we just don't do East and West like we used to.
It is odd. It was odd because then you have De'Aaron Fox on like the older players team, which when he's 28. So you know what I mean? So it was like you weren't really sure. You kind of put like the older guys on one team, and then some of the younger guys just I just didn't think were as good, but they had more stamina. It was very confusing in the beginning. And why were they also called Stars and Stripes when even the commentators who were great, dude, Ian Eagle's son is a Noah Eagle.
Yes.
He's the man, and for being like our age and having that incredible of a voice is unbelievable. But I agree, it was weirdly named. It was very confusing at first, but once you got into it and you kind of caught the gist of what was going on, it was fun. I agree, though. East West is just a simpler game. If they did that East West with the same intensity, awesome, do it. I think they did this little round robin and broke it down even to smaller teams, thinking they would take it more seriously, and it worked.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it was better than what people are used to. Again, I did not watch the majority because I am a Michael Porter Jr. stan, and I wanted to not watch for him. You brought up Noah Eagle. Shout out to Noah Eagle, 29 years old, the son of the Hall of Fame broadcaster Ian Eagle. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer right now, but he absolutely will be in the Hall of Fame of broadcasting when it's all said and done. And Nick, did you know that Noah Eagle and Ian Eagle are both ethnically they're both Jewish?
I did know that,
I
and I
didn't
didn't
know
know
that.
Noah Eagle was that young. Yeah, dude, to be 29, like I was thinking to myself when he goes on dates with whoever, like hearing his voice, I would be so just like shocked and in awe. Like this is crazy.
He's great, by the way. And the reason I bring up that they're Jewish is because Nick and I are also Jewish, and we always love it when we find out people in the media and or players on NBA teams are Jewish. Shout out to Denis Avdia. Shout out to Ben Saraf and Danny Wolf, all Jews.
Hashtag Jewish.
Hashtag Jewish. All right, Nick. We are officially at the mid-year, or I guess All-Star break portion of the season. And this is a Brooklyn Nets podcast, so we have to give our mid-year or mid-season thoughts on this Nets squad. I'm going to start tanking in the right direction. We have a lot of crazy tanking situations in the NBA. especially like the last 2 weeks before the All-Star break. You had the Jazz resting active players like Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. in the fourth quarter of a game in which they won, which I loved. You have the Pacers and the Jazz both getting fined for just very obvious over the top tanking scenarios. I think I'll say
And
this about
the Nets not getting fined.
the Nets have not been fined because they haven't been stupid and obvious about it. Yes, Michael Porter Jr. will rest some games. You'll rest Jaeger, over the course of some games, but they're playing guys when they're healthy. They're not resting guys. Obviously, we waived Cam Thomas, which actually I think Cam Thomas was helping us lose games, but that's another story. But no, they're tanking in the right direction. The one thing I want to say is I haven't learned much about Jordy Fernandez this season, and I think that's kind of a given because they're not supposed to be competitive. And I don't know. Like I think last year it was like, okay, I see the coach that he can be. This year, I'm more or less seeing how he can develop the rookies and how much credit does Jordy Fernandez get for Nolan Traore playing much better as of late? How much credit are you going to give Jordy for Jaeger being one of the best shooting rookies from the 3-point line in the NBA? I don't know how much credit he deserves for that. So that's number two. And then overall, I think I'm proud of 4 out of 5 rookies like Traore, Joman, Drake Powell, and Danny Wolf have all made me proud to be a Nets fan. And I can see the future with those 4 guys. As I've said on record, Ben Sarath is the only guy I don't think has a future in the NBA. And I just haven't seen it from him. So I don't have a lot of hope with him. But yeah, 4 of the 5 rooks have definitely shown me some stuff. And I don't know. Those are my mid-year thoughts. What about you?
I think to your point of yes, we haven't gotten caught tanking, but I also think we're putting more time and better time into developing our young players. And I think the tanking teams, maybe they're doing that to a certain extent, but they're really looking for the draft pick and how they could shape their team around a draft pick or potential trades. We're actually not banking on every ounce of our efforts going into relying on a draft pick and then picking up a star from the latest draft. I think we actually think we have a lot of talent on our roster and it just needs to be fostered and we need to develop chemistry. And the only way to do that sometimes is to have your young talented guys on the court for an extended period of time. And sorry, you're going to end up winning some of those games, which is fun for us. I also want to point out if we're looking at the standings, we're in 13th. Pacers are a couple games, but 1 game behind us in 14th, which begs the question again, how did Siakam get in if the Pacers are behind? You could say like, oh, better team sometimes. But if you literally look, Pacers are a game behind us in 14th, and Porter Jr.'s numbers are better than Siakam. So it does raise the question. Again, Siakam was on World. So Porter Jr. could not have made the World team. But things could have gotten switched around, and I do think Porter Jr. earned it over Siakam. But no, to your point, I like that we didn't get fined. I think that's a good look for our organization. I just don't like what the Jazz are doing. It's just almost disrespectful to the league. And it's like that kid at the end of the fantasy football season who knows he's not going to make the playoffs, so he starts like not paying attention to his roster. And then the guys who are fighting for like fourth, fifth, sixth seed playoff spots, they get lucky if they play that person and just automatically win. So that's how I feel when teams really blatantly tank. You're actually affecting other teams in the league standings. And listen, there's teams we hate. I don't want the Knicks playing a tanking team and therefore rising up in the playoff bracket. I don't want the Celtics playing a tanking team and going up a spot in the seed. So like that thing really bothers me. So yes, I agree with you. We have a lot of young talent that need to be developed, and I like that we're doing that in a less obvious, shitty way than some other teams.
I agree with you. Look, I may not be the biggest Sean Marks fan. I'm very critical of him. I'm on record here saying I'm not a fan of a lot of the moves he's made over the past few years, during the Big Three era, after the Big Three era, what have you. But I will say the way that the Nets organization has handled these rookies from the start of this year has been really, really special to watch. Here's what I mean. Obviously, Jaeger Joman, number 8th pick, high expectations. He kind of got thrown into the fire pretty quickly. You expect that, right? Like top 10 pick. So he's had his moments, proud of him. Next up, Nolan Truer. Here's what I really want to talk about because I'm very happy with what has happened over the course of half a season with Nolan Truer. Initially, at the start of the year, when Nolan got backup point guard minutes, he struggled. He really did. The game looked a little too fast for him. He was making mistakes out there, and the Nets sent him down to the G League for a few games. He starts dominating the G League, starts looking really good, comes back up, a few weeks ago, and all of a sudden he's figured it out. And the game has slowed down for him. He's starting to show us why he was a top 20 pick and why before last season he was projected to be a top 5 pick in the preseason ranks. Nick, these last 4 games for Nolan Traore, the loss against Orlando, 21 points, 7 assists, 7 of 13 from the field. The win against Washington, 15 points, 4 assists, 1 turnover. The win against Chicago, 13 points, 13 assists. And then that loss against Indiana the other night, 20 points, 8 assists, 1 steal. I think that is the perfect example of how to develop a rookie. You can throw him into the fire quickly. Jaeger has not really seen much. I don't think he's seen any G League time this year. So that is one way to do it. And there are pros and cons to that. But when you're able to slowly let these guys develop, you're starting to see that happen with Traore. And it was kind of the opposite with Sarap. Sarap was thrown into the fire right away. Do you remember Ben Sarap started the first few games of the year?
Yeah.
Goes to the G League, comes back, hasn't shown the improvement you want to see. You know what I mean? And you've seen it work with Traore, and you really haven't seen it work yet with Sarap. I'm not saying Sarap's a lost cause. I just have not seen his development from day one to now. You want to talk about Drake Powell and Danny Wolf? They've shown spurts, but the spurts that they've shown really show me that they belong in the NBA. So I just want to shout out Nolan Traore. I think he's been fantastic. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. Anything else? I mean, obviously the team is bigger than the rookies, right? So you have a guy like MPJ who's having an all-star season. Noah Clowney in year 3 has had some breakout games, but I think consistency has been an issue for Noah Clowney. He's also had to deal with some injuries. And then you got the OGs. You got Nick Claxton and Day'Ron Sharpe, who have been here for a minute, and we didn't trade either of those guys for the deadline. So, I don't really, there's nothing much to say about the way they've been playing. I think we all know how good they can be on a bad team as the number 1 option or number 2 option when they're in there. I'm specifically talking about Claxton. And when Day'Ron gets in there, I mean, all he does is he's a monster on the boards. He's in the right place on offense and defense. But again, they're decent centers on one of the worst teams in basketball. So it doesn't tell me that much about them.
No. And you see Jared Allen now, who I just think is a league above them, thriving on a good team, a great team, even when everyone's healthy. And Jared Allen had a 40-point game. I think he had a 40, 15, and 5 game the other night, a couple weeks ago. So to your point, yeah, Claxton, I always have criticized his development. I thought it was just moving like just freaking so slowly in terms of where we thought he would be today 5 years ago. And I actually think Clowney is moving faster in his development than Claxton is comparatively. I think Clowney, a couple years younger, is already like on the same level as Claxton in terms of effectiveness and what he brings to the table, and actually could shoot. So he's almost more dynamic than Claxton, which begs the question at some point, can you win with both guys? Do you kind of want to keep developing Clowney, who seems to be moving at a quicker pace, and get a better big man than Claxton? I love Claxton from like a longevity and a loyalty standpoint from being on this Nets organization longer than most. But yeah, you're right. A decent center on a bad team is kind of a bad center.
Let me tell you the fun thing about Nick Claxton this year. Before this season, he had played 6 years in the NBA. This is his 7th year. And he had never averaged more than 2.2 assists per game. This year, Claxton is 12.5 points per game, which is 0.1 points away from his career high. He's averaging 4 assists per game. That's pretty much double more assists than he's averaged in any other season. And I think that's because the Nets have kind of bounced around their point guards, right? We've seen Yeager start at point. We've seen Terrence Mann start at point. We've seen Traore start at point. Claxton has been the point center in a lot of these games. So watching him dish the ball, make good decisions, his IQ's been a lot higher this year. I think that has made him more of a fun watch for Nets fans. And again, he's doing the normal scoring things, scoring around the rim, the recipient of alley-oops, things like that. But I think those assist numbers going up, it's made him a more versatile player because he's becoming this playmaking big, which we really haven't seen from him in his first 6 years in the NBA.
I
Clowney,
thought you were gonna call him a playmaking bitch.
no, I claim a playmaking bitch.
I thought you were like, that's what made him a playmaking bitch.
Yeah, no, no. Clowney, the one thing I'll say about him is in his third season, the numbers have just gotten better every year. 5.8 points per game in year one, 9.1 points per game last year, 13 points per game this year. Block totals are a little bit higher. Assist numbers, he's a little under 2 assists per game, and rebounds, he's at 4.3. So he can still improve. He is only shooting 32% from three. You'd like to see that up because he takes 6.5 threes per game. So you'd like to see that number up. But overall, you know, this
Hey,
is
just
the
look
team.
at Brook Lopez. Brook Lopez took like 10 years to become one of the most efficient shooting three-point bigs in the league.
It's true. It's true. I mean, this is the team that we expected. So yeah, mid-year thoughts, just continue to lose, continue to let the rookies develop, and we'll see what we have.
Here's my
All right.
question to you. Is Robin Lopez still in the league?
I think he is. I have no idea what team he's on. He could be a free agent. Do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Robin Lopez is a basketball player. Oh, his last full year, I guess, was the 2023-24 season when he played for Milwaukee.
Oh,
He
so
has
he's been
not.
out for a couple of years.
He has been out for a couple of years. Shout out to Brooke. Brooke is still in the league, still doing his thing. Is he still? Where's Brooke Lopez at? You know,
Wherever he is, he's
he's on the Clippers still.
Yeah, you're right. He's on the Clips. How are his numbers? Oh, we
This
love Brook Lopez,
this
man.
year, 6.8 points per game and 2.6 rebounds per game. So not great.
Oh
But
man.
he's
He's
also
still
how
putting
old
up
is he?
big minutes though. He's still no, he's playing like 19 minutes a game.
I mean, he was backing up Zubac, and now Zubac is gone. So yeah, I don't know. I
All
don't
right,
watch enough Clippers
without
basketball.
looking, how old is Brook Lopez? Without looking.
37. Already looked.
Damn it.
All right, Nick. This next segment is called "What Did We Learn?" So obviously, Spenny and the Nets is not the only podcast out there. There are a few others. The Old Man and the Three had a few Nets players on an episode last week. They had Jaeger Joman, Drake Powell, Danny Wolf, and Noah Clowney on the show. I listened to the entire episode. I know you didn't. That's okay. But I did find out some interesting facts listening to these guys. So I guess we'll start with Jaeger. A lot of people think that he's been a professional basketball player before BYU. It's kind of a misconception. He was a pro for his age group. So he was on the Real Madrid pro team for, I guess, 16-year-old basketball players. So it's not like he was
Right.
playing
Similar
this
you could be
grown
on like the U16 Red Bull team. Yeah.
Right. So he was on those teams. That was more of a clarification. And then he went to BYU for a year. And I thought it was interesting. You know, he talks about he really wanted to go to college. If it was up to him, I think he would have just went to the NBA from overseas and done it that route. But the coach of BYU convinced him to come play there. And he said BYU made sense for him because in terms of like the not partying, that's how he lived his life before BYU. So he said, go if he went to like Alabama or Florida or one of these big time party schools, he would have been weird for not partying. But at BYU, he was able to fit in a lot easier. Thought that was interesting.
Sounds like a really fun time. Really cool college experience.
Hey man, fun is different for other people. You know, everyone has different college experiences. We all can't be big man on campus like you were.
Yeah, and let's be real. You and I would be a pro basketball player any day of the week.
The other thing I thought was interesting, he talked about learning to play off ball a little bit more, which is something we've noticed this year. So I thought that was cool. Drake Powell seems very low key. Like he's the quieter type. I think he spoke the least out of the four of them. But you know, he just I don't know. There's something about Drake Powell, like a quiet confidence that I really, really like. And I think he's gonna be a very good NBA player. I don't know if it's gonna be for the Nets, but there are some things you see in his game from an athleticism standpoint, from a ball handling standpoint, from the fact that he can shoot the mid range. The elevation he gets on middies is phenomenal. Like he
Is there
fucking
like a little
rises
part
up.
of you Is there a little part of you that thinks like in 3 to 5 years, the same exact roster for the most part could develop into like a sick team just with the current players?
Well, I mean, next year you're going to have a first round draft pick, so you're going to add
So then
another
maybe.
young star to this group, hopefully.
Do you
Um,
think Drake is the quietest of his brothers, Norm Powell and Dwight Powell?
no, I don't think they're related. But the answer to your question is like yes, in part. I think that there are going to be guys that aren't like a part of the future iteration of the Nets. Like, look, let's be real. They drafted four guards, right? They drafted Powell, Yeager, Traore, and Ben Suraf. So, like, you can't play four guards. You can only play two. And then one of those guys, maybe Yeager can be a small forward, maybe in the future. But yeah, I don't know. I just that was interesting in terms of like Drake being really quiet and super soft spoken. And then Danny Wolf was awesome. I think he was probably the best part of the interview. He talked about the viral moments where Jimmy Butler what did Jimmy Butler say? He said, "Yeah, white boy," or he said he called him white boy a bunch of times. Then he talked about when Kevin Durant said, "That's a trash ass miss, Wolf," and just like he talked about those viral moments, and that was kind of his welcome to the NBA moment. But the thing he said that I thought was really interesting was, you know, how he plays, which is essentially he's got the rock at the top of the key. He's running pick and rolls with guys. He really didn't learn how to play that way until Michigan. And he played, I think, 1 year or not long. I think he was there for maybe 1 year at Michigan. I'm not sure. But he
Yeah, I
was
mean,
at
if you're like 6'10" in high school, you're playing a center. Like you're just gonna be the center.
right, right. So Danny Wolf, college. He went to Yale before he went to Michigan. So he played at Yale for 2022 to 2024, and then he transferred to Michigan from 24-25 season. But he just learned how to play this pick and roll type basketball this past year. So what we're seeing with him when he has the ball in his hands, he hasn't been doing that for long, which I thought was very interesting. I think before that he was just playing traditional big man basketball, like you said. So those are kind of the takeaways I got from it. Um, it was an interesting interview. If you guys want to check it out, The Old Man in the Three. It's about an hour long. But yeah, some interesting stuff from the rookies. And I didn't bring anything up that Clowney said, but Clowney was very interesting too. I think the difference between Clowney and these guys is Clowney his first year played most of the season in the G League. So Clowney's second year was more or less his rookie year in the NBA. Whereas most of these guys, yeah, Wolf spent a little bit of time in the G League, so is Powell, but really they've been on the big league club for most of the year.
I also want to point out the Old Man in the Three was formerly JJ Redick's podcast, but now that he's coaching, is there a host or is it kind of like
Yeah. I don't know the guy's name. It's
okay,
it's
so it's like
it's
there
his
is like
friend though.
a got it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I think Cam Johnson hosts every now and again. He'll go
Oh,
on.
that's cool.
And then
Okay.
they had an episode. I didn't record this week, but they had an episode where it was Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Johnson talking to each other, which is very cool.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the traded bros.
The Traded Bros. So yeah, give it a listen. All right, a few more segments before we wrap up. Number one, just like this draft class for next year, it gets more and more stacked by the day. So we already know the big four, right? We know Darren Peterson, AJ DeBansa, Cam Boozer, and Caleb Wilson of UNC. Those are like the four. Obviously, Caleb hurt his hand. He's going to be out for a while. I think he's getting surgery on his hand. I'm not 100% on that, but he's out with an injury. Now you're starting to hear some other names, Nick. You're starting to see these guys go off. Mikel Brown Jr. of Louisville, Darius Acuff Jr. of Arkansas, Keaton Wagler of Illinois, Kingston Flemings of Houston. All of these guys look like potential NBA stars. And as a Nets fan, it makes me feel a little better, like that much better if we don't get a top four pick and you end up with 5, 6, 7. Hopefully, one of these guys will be exactly what you're looking for in terms of continuing to build out this young roster. The only thing that worries me is I mentioned to you, we have a lot of guards, and the only big men in this group is Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson. That's it. So if you don't get one of those guys, oh, and I'm sorry, AJ DeBonce is a small forward / power forward.
And
So
what
if you
is our
don't get,
projected pick right now?
I think we're 4 or 5. I think Nick is taking a look, by the way, for those listening. Um, yeah, I think the Nets right now. You have it.
Yeah, I just went to ESPN's NBA mock draft. It's saying Darren Peterson Oh, it's not telling me the team that
Right now, it's likely 5-7 is what they're saying right now.
five. Yeah, so it's going Sacramento Kings, Wizards, Hawks, Pacers, Nets, and that would get us Kingston Flemings from Houston. The
From
point
Houston,
guard.
right. Right. So that's what I'm saying. So those 3 or 4 guys I mentioned, they're all point guards. And the problem with that is you have a guy, Nolan Traore, who looks like he could be the future point guard of your team. You also drafted Powell, who's a shooting guard, Ben Surratt, who's kind of a point guard, and Jaeger has some point guard DNA. Obviously, he's playing more of a shooting guard, small forward role this year, but I don't know. It gets a little iffy. Like all these guys look like stars right now, right? And they're not all going to be stars. You're going to have a bust or two, but you can't have multiple point guards. You can only start one. So it gets a little hairy. Like if I'm the Nets, DeBonsa, Cam Boozer, or Caleb Wilson, and Darren Peterson, like those are the top four. And Darren Peterson can play the two. Like Darren Peterson is the best college scorer I have seen touch the court since Kyrie Irving. He's
Wow.
incredible, but availability has been an issue for him. He's missed a lot of games. So, and again, the going to be a very, very low chance that the Nets get the number one pick. I'm just being realistic here. I'd love to see that happen, but there's a very small chance. So I don't know. If you get one of these guys, if you get Kingston Flemings or Mikel Brown Jr., Darius Cuff, by the way, freshman point guard under Calipari. I was looking at some stuff today. Guys always kill it. Like John Wall, Derrick Rose, like I think De'Aaron Fox was a freshman under Calipari. These guys just for some reason he knows how to coach freshman point guards. If you get one of those guys, great, but then you just got to figure out like what are you doing with Nolan Traore? I don't know. It worries me a bit. All right. This next segment is called Beef Squashed. So I saw over the weekend that Jeremy Lin, who played in the All-Star Celebrity Game, him and Kenyon Martin were seen having a conversation, and they were laughing and seemed casual. And I think that people were speculating that they made up over their beef. Are you aware of the beef that Kenyon Martin and Jeremy Lin
I
had?
don't remember the beef.
This is very funny. So years ago, Kenyon Martin had an issue with Jeremy Lin wearing cornrows, doing the cornrow style with his hair. I think he accused Jeremy Lin of cultural appropriation. Jeremy Lin responded by referencing the fact that Kenyon Martin has a Chinese tattoo. So I think they're buddies again. Like I think everything's good. I think they
That
cleared the
seems
air.
like one of
But
those things where it's like, but you have a Chinese tattoo, and Kenny Martin's like, okay, yeah, no, never mind, never mind.
I
Like,
don't know. I mean, pretty good clapback at the time. But yeah, I thought that was funny, and I knew you didn't know. I knew you didn't know that story, so I thought that'd be fun.
that's really funny.
All right, we got to talk about this because the entire internet's talking about it, and I just I want to go on record. I don't believe this is the case, but we have Kevin Durant burner accusations again. So apparently his burner account, which is allegedly "Get Off My Dickerson," he said there are these. He was in like a group chat, I guess, or a Twitter group chat, and he said, "So this is like recently. This is this year. Coach called that play to pass to Alfie. LOL. I'ma turn the ball over with that shitty ass team. I don't give a fuck. Your franchise player can't shoot or defend. That's a way bigger issue than my turnovers. Remember, these guys are your future." That's one thing he said. Then here we go. I can't trust Jabari to make a fucking shot or get a stop. He's low key and he uses the R word.
There's no way that's Durant, but I really
I
like the name "Get Off My Dickerson."
get off my Dickerson. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting stuff. I don't believe it, but at the same time, this is a guy who's admitted, former net Kevin Durant, the only reason we're talking about it. He's admitted to having burners before. So I don't know. Do you really think that you think it's him or no?
I don't think it's him. Did I tell you my really good idea for a Sam Darnold burner account?
What would it be?
It's called Sam Says the Darnoldest Things.
I do like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
This get off my Dickerson. I think they've been tweeting for a while. I don't think it's him, right? There's no way it's him. They're blocked, by the way. Now it says these posts are protected. Though if it was him, I'm not allowed to look at it. Shout out to get off my Dickerson. All right. This is the last thing, then I'll let everybody go. A few weeks ago, Nick, I teased my appearance on Clash by House of Highlights. So for those who don't know, Clash basically it's a part of House of Highlights, and they have these episodes called a fan versus 10 haters. So they'll have someone defend a player, and they'll have these 10 haters come and try to basically say that player is not as good as the fan. So I was on an episode, and now it's released. I can talk about it, where the player in question was Carmelo Anthony. I was a hater, and I had to basically debate against this diehard Carmelo Anthony fan that I thought Carmelo was overrated. So here's a little audio from the clip. I'll play you right now. Here we go.
Outside of Kobe Bryant, Carmelo Anthony was the most clutch wing of the 2000s. I think of clutch players. I think of guys being clutch players in clutch moments. Melo never did it in the playoffs. From 2000.
So we're not going to listen to the guy getting to the stats. Basically, the
Yeah, we
teaser
don't
is
need that. We don't need the rebuttal.
we don't need the stats. Now you heard
You
my
won.
voice there.
You won.
Listen, when the full episode comes out, it's not out yet. They put a teaser out, but you're going to hear I cooked a little bit. I made some points about Carmelo Anthony being overrated that this guy couldn't come back. So,
Good.
and he was great, by the way. The Mellow fan was so knowledgeable. I want to find his. Yeah, I'm not going to shout him out right now because I don't remember his name, but I think it was Johnny. He was great. The guy was a super knowledgeable guy. He knew everything about Carmelo Anthony. But the full episode's going to be out, I think, in the next week, so I'll share it on my X. But it was a really cool experience. I just want to shout out Clash, shout out House of Highlights. Shout out Warner Brothers. We went to the Warner Brothers studio to shoot it. It was freaking awesome. Shout out to my boy Sal from Delco, who I've kept in touch with. I made some friends over there, and I really just can't wait to do more work with the House of Highlights team because it was fucking awesome, and they have a really good setup over there.
Hell yeah, bro. Can't wait to hear it.
All right. Thanks to everyone for listening to another episode of Spenny and the Nets, episode 245. Once we're back from All-Star break and this team starts playing again, we'll be breaking down the rookies play, the veterans play, things that are happening with Jordy Fernandez, the owner Joe Tsai. Where's he been at? He hasn't said much recently. We'll break it all down on this podcast because we love you, we respect you, and anyone listening right now, me and Nick, we just appreciate the world out of you. So shout out to all the listeners and just have a great week. Anything else?
You call him Joe Tsai. I call him Joe.
That does it.